Listen, every marriage has its problems, but when you're going through your hardest thing you've ever had to go through in your life.
What's going on, Passport family? Welcome back to another episode of Men on the Move. Guys, before we get started, go ahead and like and subscribe. That's really going to help me out and get me to a broader audience. Now, guys, without further ado, let's get into this video. It's an interesting one. She had an affair.
Are you ever nosy about people's divorce and wonder, what was the final straw? Why did they end? Well, I'm going to tell you. Now, this is the short version, and I can go into more detail if people have questions. But in 2019, I had an affair. And right before my dirty 30 of going with my girlfriends to Vegas that I planned for myself, one of my friends got mad at me and messaged my husband and told him everything. We were 6 weeks from closing on a custom-built house, which he canceled. But I didn't leave until June of 2021. So what happened between August of 2019 and June of 2021? Well, after finding out about my affair, he got me into psychotherapy and got us into a religious marriage counselor. Now, props to him for getting me into a psychotherapist because this man specialized in sexual trauma and he was really able to help me process some stuff I went through as a child. But after finding out about my affair, he became very controlling. So while I was going to therapy, I basically had to come home and report back to him everything that I had talked about or processed through. So I had no privacy. He had access to all my social medias. I actually had to delete my social media for 6 months. And then when I got back on, I had to delete half of my following and friends. And then he had my login. So for some reason, if someone messaged me, it would go first to his phone. I was completely isolated. But I gave up those freedoms because I had messed up. And you have to realize that I didn't just betray him. I betrayed my own morals. I had never even cheated on a boyfriend before. So I was processing a lot in this and I felt extremely guilty. And I tried to not feel ashamed because I know shame puts you in a spiral, and I was trying to just feel guilty so I could change my ways and process and make sure it never happened again. So March of 2020, I told him, hey, I need some more privacy. I need some space. I need to be able to have a girls' night. I actually have the list of my demands that I was asking him for. It asked for criticism to be only once a week. It asked for privacy. So that way
Bro. She said she had to ask for criticism to be only once a week, bro. What was he doing? You cheating ass bitch. What the fuck was he doing in the house, bro? Oh shit.
Could have conversations with my girlfriends, open and honestly. And I asked him to keep everything that was in our marriage between him and his therapist and one other friend. Because at that time, he was running and telling his friends everything that I did, said, was doing, anything. He agreed to my demands, and then COVID hit. So we were stuck in the house together for 6 weeks, right after I asked for space. But that wasn't the nail in the coffin. That came a year later when my dad went into cardiac arrest and was on life support for 10 days. And I'm going to have to go to part 2, I'm sorry.
Passport family, honestly, it's insane. She has a list of demands that she wants from her husband after she committed the ultimate sin. Feel me? A wife cheating on your husband, there's really no going back on that, especially as a man. That's not something men usually get over. You know, it's very hard. Can you imagine as a man, just envisioning your woman being hit from the back, just even thinking about that, you know, that no man can handle that shit. But man, with her having to ask him, can I just have a week, just a week of a day of criticism, 1 day of criticism a week, bro? That shit's what was he doing to that? Man, can you imagine, Passport family, man? Please don't you go. Just call me a hoe once a week. Just call me this cheating asshole once a week. Oh man, just call me a 304. Just once a week. You can only call me a 304 once a week. That's it. You know, you use it on Tuesday, it's over. Like, you can't use it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can't be this every day. You can't. Oh, man. He had to have been going in on about basketball fan. Let me read some of these comments, man. I know these comments got to be pretty interesting. Okay, here you have a person that says, that girl wasn't your friend. Honestly, after hearing that entire story, that's the first thing that you have to say about this situation. This is really sad, and this is why I have no sympathy for American women. I really don't. When I see crap like this, man. Labeling a man controlling because he was going through betrayal, trauma, and requiring the standard practice to rebuild trust, which is insane. I mean, wanting your password, wanting, you know, access to your social media, your phone, all of that stuff is very normal if a man is going to decide to stay in any relationship, let alone his marriage, and try to work it out after you committed the ultimate sin. So yes, for you to feel like that is controlling is beyond any man. It's beyond any man, and honestly, it's beyond most women. Okay. Another person says, once you cheat, you need to be prepared to forego your privacy and get off of social media. Rebuilding trust is tough. Here you have a guy that says you show no boundaries in your marriage. You need to be held accountable for your actions. Loyalty didn't mean anything to you. You wasn't just cheating. You didn't just cheat. You was having an affair, and that wasn't going to come to light unless you had that argument with your friend. Your friend had to be the person to come to your husband to air out what you've been doing. You told your friend, but you didn't tell your husband. Imagine how that was looking. You know, you're kissing on your husband every night. You sleeping in the same bed with your husband after you done shared your body with another man. There's no excuse for that. And then here you have another ignorant woman that says, just curious, you still friends with that friend? Same thing happened to me and I ghosted her. So here you have the woman defending the fact that, you know, the friend should not have been the one to go and talk to her husband about that situation. So this is what I mean, man. American women are twisted, and I do not trust them. I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. Now, Passport Family, she has another video that she did explaining more about the situation in part 2, and we're going to play this video right now. Let's get into it.
This is part 2 of why I decided to get a divorce and how I knew when it was time to leave. If you haven't seen part 1, click this and go watch it first. I'm going to try to get through this story without crying, but it's hard because even though it's been 2 years, it still hurts. So my dad went into cardiac arrest and was put on life support for 10 days. The day it happened, my ex was very supportive. He came to the hospital and sat with us as a family. But day 2 was different. Day 2, he told me that he was struggling. By he, I mean my ex. Now, I thought when he said he was struggling, he meant about my dad being on life support. So I said, it's okay, like, oh, I can be your rock today. I'm feeling a little bit stronger, like, we can do this. And he said, no, he was struggling because I wasn't focused on our marriage. So he talked about flying to Houston to go be with his family. Mind you, my brother that lives in Houston and my brother that lives in Seattle were on their way with their wives and their kids in tow because my dad is on life support. Meanwhile, my husband's talking about leaving. Now listen, every marriage has its problems. But when you're going through your hardest thing you've ever had to go through in your life, the one person that should be there for you no matter what is your spouse. He didn't end up going to Houston, but he did go hang out with friends after work because he needed support. Because while I was sitting next to my dad, holding his hand, my ex calls me and picks a fight with me because I'm not prioritizing our sex life. This went on for about 5 days before he went to therapy. After that, he realized that this is a crisis situation and that his needs are on the back burner. And he wanted to be sweet and supportive to me. But physical touch, now that I found out, is my love language. And I felt betrayed by this man, so I didn't want to touch him. Now, mind you, at this time, I did not realize that physical touch was my love language. All I knew is that I didn't want to hug him. I didn't want him to be there for me. Because when I was falling, you didn't catch me. You were not there. But now you want to come in. F off. So then he told me that I was being emotionally abusive by withholding physical touch. So at which point I Googled it and went to him and apologized. Because I was never trying to hurt him. I was just hurting and didn't feel safe. Now he may have been able to forgive me for having an affair. And I may be able to forgive him for not being there for me when my dad was on life support. But I don't trust him. I did not feel emotionally safe anymore. Side note, I had asked him for a separation back in 2019, and he made it clear it was a divorcer. We stay married.
Now, you see, Passport family, that's the exact reason why I don't think you should ever take a woman back after she has, cheated on you, man. It's gonna be super duper hard, bro, to have those feelings for her, like those in case like trauma, like what she's going through with her father. Like if something like that happens, man, it's gonna be hard for you to have like a softer heart. I'm pretty sure, he felt for her, but at the same time, while she's going through that, he's probably still thinking about her bending over and getting hit from the back by another dude. Like, and that's why it's gonna always be hard for a man to take a woman back after she does some shit like that. Like that's not easy. And men that do that shit, stupid as fuck. I can't hold you. Stupid as fuck. And there's so many other women out here. To learn a new language, get your passport, and go experience a new culture. Experience women overseas that are not willing to jeopardize their marriage and are always having an open line of communication in the relationship.
Lame. If it's something that you love and you feel passionate about, chase that by any means necessary. I was told I was lame to be a barber, I'd be stuck in my hometown, but God gave me the vision to see that I could be where I am.